Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Sorry for the technical difficulties earlier. We're restarting the stream. So, blasting that link out and just starting over here again. But welcome. We are going to be grading Texas's first round win versus Clemson. Hopefully, everybody can see me now in the chat, but I think we're good to go with the difficulties we had. But we're going to be grading the win over Clemson 38-24, advancing to the Peach Bowl to face Arizona State. As you guys have seen my grades here all year, I start with the staff, we move on to the team, we assign letter grades to each group or position group. I'll interact with you guys here in the polls and keep it, just keep it interactive and light here as we're talking ball. If you're watching me on YouTube or any other any platform, hit that like button, subscribe. Really appreciate it. Helps us grow this platform, helps us grow the channel. It's free to show love. And if you're watching here on the Bleacher Report app, welcome. And feel free to engage in the chat, in the polls as we talk Texas and just be clear and forthcoming with your thoughts on how they looked at DKR on Saturday. So first and foremost, shout out to Horns, always up for a win. They got the W. That's important. I also want to make it clear in terms of starting out with the staff. I'm not trying to nitpick or anything like that. I mean, we are nitpicking, let me clarify, but I want to be more mindful of why, and articulate why, we're good to go. So, okay. Thanks, Jake. I appreciate it. Thank you. So one thing I want to do is with the coaching staff, I'm going to give the Texas coaching staff a B grade. Now they got the W. The offense was back on track. If we want to separate offense and defense, we can do that. But I look at the staff all the way around in terms of were the players prepared for the game? How did we adjust throughout the game? Were we disciplined in our assignments? And when, curveballs were thrown at us, did we keep our cool, measured, all those type of things? Overall, I give them a B. And look, that is with the understanding of, hey, what's holding us back from an A, Steve? Well, you had a 21-point lead, and I felt like that's something where you guys really could have stretched it out and really, really put this football game away and really, really been dominant. Instead, Clemson, who's a very good football team, credit to Clemson and what they brought, especially Cade Klubnik. He heated up in the second half. But there were some situations where I personally felt like Texas played with their food a little bit. So I have to knock that to the staff. You also had two moments in the game, and this is on offensively speaking, where you didn't convert on fourth down. And I didn't really love the play calls, and I didn't think that they put the players in the best position to convert either one of those fourth downs. And it didn't look like the arch package was really ready to go either. Now, where the staff just gets credit, the offense woke up. Okay. They did what they needed to do against an opponent. You're not playing one of these crazy SEC defensive lines anymore. Yes, we like the Clemson D line, TJ Parker, Peter Woods, those type of guys. But I've been talking about where's the roll out of bed 30 Sark. We saw that in DKR. And we saw a team that really was able to do, even in the fourth quarter later in the game, this is why I also give the staff credit, maintaining the ball, time possession, getting key first downs, and putting the game away, putting the game out to where we didn't have to sweat out the last 10 minutes of that game. Really doing a great job getting the run game back going. That first touchdown with the pin and pull play, Trey Wisner, just boom, wide open. So what the coaching staff has gotten to in terms of getting this back right from the Georgia game, Texas coaches, good job. Defensively, we were fighting for our life a little bit out there. And we'll get to the defense in terms of position grades. But overall, I think the coaching staff deserves a B for this game, all things considered, based upon kind of things I set out before. before I ask this question, I'm gonna put in the poll. Who deserves, and I'm gonna put some names here. Who deserves a game ball or you know what? Who was your Texas MVP from the Clemson game? Because I want to hear, and also if you guys want to have guys that either gave a game ball to anything of that sort, I'm all ears. All right, so I got that there in the poll. Who's your MVP for the game? And also, if you want to put in the chat, who are you giving a game ball to? This is something I asked post game, but feel free to respond there. Grading the quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers, A. Quarterbacks get an A. If we want to include the arch package, it goes down to A minus. And if we're grading the whole room, it's an A minus. But Quinn Ewers gets an A because of his game management skills and understanding the assignment. There's a lot of pressure on Quinn's head for this playoff run. There's a lot of pressure on Quinn's head for, is he holding this team back? People want to see arch. People want to see a more explosive passing game. People, it's not just me that's talked about it, but people are aware of what a lot of third-year quarterbacks have done under Steve Sarkisian, and people are weary of Quinn's toughness, all these questions. And A, he was accurate. B, he was decisive. I thought he looked healthier. When I say decisive, I'm also talking about his movement in and out of the pocket. I thought he made some big throws downfield. I think he's throwing the ball better downfield than I've seen him throw in a long time with more consistency, which is promising for the games moving forward. But the biggest thing for me was his command and control of the line of scrimmage. Folks, we had guys going down throughout this game on the offensive line. Now, Quinn got the run game support. We'll get to the run game. I know y'all saw my thumbnail, so it kind of gives it away. But Quinn, yes, he's a guy that needs that infrastructure around him. But when other guys are struggling, when there's pressure on him to lead the team to points because the defense is struggling, he picked us up. And the audibles and the checks at the line of scrimmage, as Steve Sarkisian pointed out, both of our two of our touchdown runs, of our explosive runs, were Quinn Ewers checking to those runs, understanding the defense, understanding the front that Clemson was running, and saying, hey, it's better for this team to move the ball this way, and we want to run this way. So most college quarterbacks, A, don't do that. B, having the football IQ and the cerebral nature be calm and to make those checks at the line of scrimmage was critical for us. Quinn's not going to get a stat for audibling to a play that led to a 77-yard touchdown. But for those of us who understand the framework of this offense and what that means, that is enormous. That is enormous. And that's going to open up things in the passing game. So Quinn, great job. For what I've asked is just being a leader and playing within what you can do. I can no longer concern myself about him. He's not going to be a Lenora Sellers running around. That's not, and he's not going to be the best deep ball thrower in the country and throw Michael Penix type passes. Like, no, but I need him if the best version of Quinn Ewers, his own self, is good enough for Texas to win the national championship. Quinn just being his best self is good enough. We don't need him to be a superhero. We need him to be the Quinn Ewers that we saw versus Clemson. If I get that same Quinn Ewers the rest of the playoff run. I'm not worried about the offense personally. We can debate this. We can talk about it. We know that there's more challenging personnel ahead, challenging teams, all that. If I get the Quinn Ewers that showed up in DKR and played against Clemson, I'm not worried about. I'm not worried. If we lose, it'll be because of something else. Running backs, man, smile on my face. Trey Wisner running behind his pads. Jaden Blue, welcome back to the party. The explosive runs, finally looking like the Sonic Blue that we saw last season. They get an A++. Jared Gibson got into the party. I know he got stuffed on one run. That wasn't necessarily his fault with Woodaz just reading the gap correctly, but just seeing him get in the game on short yardage, the physicality in which we ran, especially that first drive coming out, we were down 7-0 and we came out very easy to get very pass happy, very easy to panic. No, Wisner and that offensive line putting their heads down and mauling forward. I was so impressed with the execution within the run game, from the backs, also pass blocking, and just everything that they did out of the backfield was impressive. Outstanding job. Let's talk about the scale at which they played, okay? You had two guys go over 100 yards rushing. One guy has 15 carries. The other guy had 14 carries. So we're talking about here Wisner finishing 15 carries, 110, 2 touchdowns. He got hurt, and he came back and was kind of played a little bit, but he didn't necessarily finish the game. Jaden Blue, 14 carries, $146, and 2 touchdowns as well. 77-yard run, explosive run to essentially ice the game. Bravo. That's the Texas running backs. That's the running back U type stuff we've been talking about. When we talk about guys like Bijan, Roshan, Jonathan Brooks, and we just say, hey, we got a stable, Keelan Robinson, like all these guys. And boy, they showed up in a biggest spot of the year so far. These guys showed up and balled out collectively. The most yards Texas has run for, I believe Texas ran as a team ran for 292 rushing yards in this game. Guys, that's the most rushing yards Texas has had, I believe since 2014 or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been a while since we've had a game of that type of crazy productivity on the ground, damn near 300 yards rushing. So job well done to those guys. And look, that's within a period of time where we've had 2 Doak Walker winners and some really impressive running backs that have come through this program. So credit to them. Tight end, I'm gonna give Gunnar Helm an A. Led the team, the tight end group. Tight end group gets an A for me. Here's why. Gunnar Helm, 6 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown on just 7 targets. So he was very efficient with his work. He had a big-time bounce-back game from him really kind of getting shut down in the SEC championship game versus Georgia. And then an unsung hero I have, Juan Davis. Juan Davis, if you guys watch him, I don't know if Juan Davis even caught a pass, but it doesn't matter to me. Like, his impact in the running game, he was involved in multiple touchdowns where he either sealed a guy or was one of the blockers downfield that was able to spring a big run. And it allows us to be very effective in our 12 personnel when you have somebody like that can block from a multitude of angles. I mean, he's a guy that will flex out. Juan is a guy that will motion. And that's a yeoman's effort there, because there's no statistical recognition that you see there other than you just watching the game and you see 81 moving people in the run game and getting down and dirty and allowing his guys to break free. So shout out to Juan Davis. Shout out to Gunnar Helm, the tight end group. Outstanding job. Offensive line, I'm going to go B+. Just some shakeup with the injuries and everything that they had to deal with. what a resilient group. Big time effort in the run game. They're the pin and pull stuff, us being able to run outside zone again. And guys, I talked about this in my preview. We're playing opponents that are not super familiar with us now, right? So even Arizona State coming up, out of conference opponent. I don't think we have a common opponent. Just the ability to, we were finishing up on the offense. So the offensive line, the kind of, bouncing around of guys, right? Jake Majors gets blindside blocked after the DeAndre Moore drop. We had the situation with Cam Williams and him getting rolled up on the knee. And that's why Trevor Gooseby is one of the folks we had here in the polls, because we know the work he's done as a true freshman or a redshirt freshman coming in and backing up Kellen Banks. Now he has to come in and back up Cam Williams. That young man just being able to jump around at both positions and hold it down, awesome. Awesome job. So Trevor Gooseby, game ball for sure, just on holding it down. Then you have Cole Hudson coming in, who already rotates with DJ at right guard. Now he's flipping over to left guard because Hayden Connor has to go play center because Jake Majors. And credit to Quinn for holding it down with the checks and the protections and all that. But those guys coming in and still creating holes, still getting execution. We don't have this type of drop off, and that's where depth is coming into play big time with these teams. That's another reason why I was talking about, hey, matchups and out of conference and whatnot. We're getting back to running our outside zone stuff. We're getting back to running that wide zone concept stuff where SEC teams and some of these really high-end defensive lines are able to thwart some of those things and combat that and take that away from us to where we had to counter. Now that's back available to us. A lot of our run game looked like it did early in non-conference. And I think that's something that to pay attention to, depending on who we play. Matchups are going to determine all of this, folks. So just something to really, really pay attention to and be keen on. This is going to sound harsh, but I'm going to give the receivers a C- for the performance. Number one, the drops and some of the issues that they had. We've got to be better. They were better in the Georgia game, so I'm not concerned long term or anything like that. I know Isaiah Bond didn't play. Maybe we could get him back on New Year's Day against Arizona State, but the DeAndre Moore drop that leads to points, leads to somebody getting hurt on a very clean ball, something that should be a routine catch that pops up at that stuff's got to stop. Drops happen, mistakes happen, you move on, next play mentality. Love DeAndre Moore. I think he's going to be a great player for us, but it's happened multiple times this year with him in particular. And we had some opportunities to go and make some plays too. Ryan Wingo, Matthew Golden, 4th and 2. Know the ball's behind you. Probably Quinn's worst throw of the day. Both hands are on it. We help us out. Help the quarterback out. Ryan Wingo, young stud. Loved how he looked on some of the end around stuff and breaking tackles and getting first downs for us. But at the point of attack with the ball, just wasn't able to come up with some of those oh my God catches. But you know what? Those freshmen on Clemson on the other end, some of those guys were making those catches, especially TJ Moore. So, just kind of throwing that carrot out there in terms of your peers of what those guys are able to do against similar circumstances, also as freshmen and coming out and balling. So we want to see more from the receivers. I think they'll be challenged this week coming up as they prepare for Arizona State. But overall, I give the receivers a C-, just me personally. Now, quickly going to the defense. I'm going to give the defensive line I'm at a B. I'm at a B with the defensive line, maybe a B-, probably a B, probably closer to a B-. I thought the first half they were pretty good. Not only did they force a turnover, the deflected pass, Barron Sorrell, Colin Simmons on the tip. I thought Vernon Broughton played very well. I thought we had some, we gave up like one big explosive run, that 41-yarder. But overall, we held Clemson to under 80 yards rushing. and we did a very, very good job in terms of contain against quarterback run game. Klubnik is a very good runner. He's a former 200-meter guy in high school. He has legs. And we did not allow, even though he got hot in the passing game, we didn't allow him to get hot both ways like Vince Young's done in the past or Johnny Manziel or something like that, where they go for 350 in the air and then another 80 or 90 on the ground. They didn't give that up. So I do give credit to Texas in that regard. But I'm still frustrated with the lack of pass rush in the second half. That was concerning for me, especially considering that the coaches had to resort to also sending pressure from depth, sending pressure from Anthony Hill, and we still weren't able to get the pressure I'd like to see to throw off somebody that it's part of the reason why he got hot. So Klubnik, that is. So I'd like to see a better performance from the defensive line over the entire course of the game. But I also can't forget about the impact of them helping us get that big lead. So I'm going to stay at a B- for the defensive line. One poll I want to put up here before we finish, if you guys don't mind answering. What is your level of concern for the Texas defense moving forward? And I'll put some options here. No concern at all. A little bit we have some stuff to fix. All right, there's the poll. What's your level of concern for the defense? I fall in the little bit category because I predicted that our secondary and our linebackers would have some issues with Clemson in the passing game. I do believe this Texas defense is as good a group as you'll find in the country and as good a group as you'll see left in the tournament. I think everybody has flaws. I think everybody has things they can fix. But I predicted, one of the reasons why I predicted the 38-24 score is I figured Clemson would have success moving the ball in the air with those dynamic freshman receivers, the pass-catching tight end, and the fact that we have not seen a passing attack like this. Texas secondary and Texas linebackers. This year we've played a lot of SEC ball. We've played a lot of bear and shoot, played a lot of pro style, played more straight up. We have not seen some of these Big 12 air raid type spread schemes like Garrett Riley and them utilize some of those concepts. And some of it is just some of the crossing stuff, spreading us out. Texas really struggled to even get aligned with that. So I do think that there's some cleanup comms wise. And I do think Texas has earned the benefit of the doubt defensively to say, hey, we didn't play our A game today, but that's not who we are. That's one game, right? I mean, it's one out of 14 games that we've played so far where we've been lights out. We're holding teams well on 200 yards passing. We're holding teams under 300 yards for the game. But where do you guys fall in that, right? Because for me, I do think we have some stuff to fix and clean up. And I don't think that that's necessarily going to be an issue in terms of the next game. Now, if I'm Arizona State, I'm also going to really look at what Clemson had success with in the second half and keeping Texas's defense on the field, the chunk plays. Are you concerned about Manny Muhammad out there at corner and how he was targeted and seemed to be getting picked on? or was it just a bad day to have a bad day, right? What do we take away from that? If I'm Texas, I'm glad I got that game out of my system now, because whether you play, Arizona State's the next opponent, but if you have to match up with an Ohio State or an Oregon who does have that same type of personnel and potentially the quarterback to match the production there, at least you now know what some of some of the things we got to get cleaned up now. I'd rather it happen versus Clemson and we pull away and get the win and out physical them than this rear its ugly head in the semifinal where we can't fix it and we don't have time. So I think it's actually a blessing in disguise that the defense went through what they went through now. The defense went through what they went through of getting humbled. Maybe we're reading the press clippings a little too much. This has been a very decorated defense, deservedly so. They've been amazing all year. But it's playoff time. You're facing better teams. You're facing more complete teams. And a lot of the cases, better quarterback play. So Texas's adjustment to that, getting the pass rush back on, and more effective with our blitzing. I thought it was concerning that we started blitzing from Mexico and we weren't getting home. So secondary gets a C minus for me, C minus. This game was made and that's the lowest grade by far that they've had all year for. That includes some missed opportunities as well. Missed opportunities for interceptions, missed tackles, and the chunk plays that were allowed. Anytime you give up the amount of yards we gave up, 300-something yards, 330-plus yards, that is a no. We also got to look at it this way as well. The linebackers, I do think that, my linebacking grade for the game is a B minus. Coverage-wise, some issues, but I did like some of the stuff they did in the run game and filling, and I think Anthill ended up leading us in tackles. So overall linebacker play B minus, and then special teams I'll go with a B minus there as well. Kicking game wasn't a huge factor here, but return game was. We didn't have a good return day. I thought we covered okay. And then, obviously other stuff didn't beat us. So special teams, I'll go a B minus. You let me know in the comments what you think in terms of how you would grade, Texas overall here, who your MVPs were. I think Jaden Blue, Trey White, the running backs just come to mind. They were fan-freaking-tastic, guys. Fan-freaking-tastic. But let me know the level of concern you have with the defense. Is this OMG? And again, some of these things may not be exploited because of the matchup. We're really focused on Cam Scattaboo, Sam Levitt, this Arizona State attack that does not have Jordan Tyson. Very good in the ground game, very good at using the running back and throw game. And then on defense, they have a lot of familiar faces from our Texas program. Xavion Alford, Zach Swanson, Prince Dorba, guys over there playing defense, meaningful snaps for the Sun Devils. I like our ability to match up with them. I think there's the reason why we are, again, a double-digit favorite in this game. But we got to put on the pads in 9 days, and there's no assumptions or anything like that. We got to go out there and execute and do what we did in the first round at DKR like we did against Clemson. Let me know in the comments what you think. And like I said, like, share, subscribe, the whole bit. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties for today, trying some stuff with the background, the banners and all that. So we will get the bugs sorted out for future shows. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Horns always up. Hook 'em.